Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Sultan Arifin bin Kamal. So today I'm going to do 12.7.4 lab, which is identify IPv6 addresses. So this is the topology. So there's an internet connected to the router with default gateway and is connected to the PC. So objective 1, part 1, practice with different types of IPv6 addresses. Part 2, examine and host IPv6 network interface and address. So the background or scenario with the depletion of Internet Protocol version 4, IPv4, network address space, and the adoption and transition to IPv6, networking professionals must understand how both IPv4 and IPv6 networks function. Many devices and applications already support IPv6. This includes extensive Cisco Device Inter-Network Operating System (IOS) support and workstation or server operating system support, such as that found in Windows and Linux. So for today's lab, this lab focuses on IPv6 addresses and the components of the address. So in part 1, you will identify the IPv6 addresses types and IPv6 addresses abbreviation. Part 2, you will view the IPv6 settings on a PC. So the required resources is one PC and so on. So let's jump into part 1, practice with different types of IPv6 addresses. So in this part, you will identify the different types of IPv6 addresses and practice compressing and decompressing IPv6 addresses. So for the first one, step 1, match the IPv6 address to its type. So match the type or match the IPv6 addresses to their corresponding address type. Notice that the addresses have been compressed to their abbreviated notation and the slash network preface network number is not shown. So some answer choices must be used more than once. So the answer choices is a loopback address A, B global unicast address, C link local address, D unique local address, and E multicast address. So for this, how would we know for our what is the global unicast address and so on? So here I have a table for you to understand it. So the first one is global unicast address, which is the answer choice of B. So the prefixes start with the number of 2000 and so on. So the starting is 2000. Anything that start with 2000 and so on is a global unicast address. So the second one, unique local address. Unique local address is the D choice. So unique local address is a range prefix which is between FC00 to FD00 and so on. So the number starts with 00. So FC to FD00 and so on. So the third one is link local. Link local only starts with FE80. So FE80 only for link local. There is no range for FE or FF. There is no range, only FE80. So the fourth one is multicast. This is also only FF00 and so on. The number starts with 00. So anything start with FF is multicast address. This the choice of E. So there is one type of address that is not included in the table, which is loopback address. So loopback address is only have one type of loopback address, which is stated as colon and number 1. So let's jump into our exercise here. So this one start with 2001. So as I told you before, anything start with 2000 here, we have our global unicast address. The prefix start with 2000 in the table I show you. So the answer would be global unicast, the answer B. So as I told you before, for loopback address, there is only one type of loopback address, so which is colon 1. So this one is automatically loopback address, the choice of A. So third one, FC00. So as I told you before, for unique local, there is a range for FC00 to FD00. Here we have FC00, so automatically it's a unique local address, the choice of D. Then fourth one, 2033. So this is the same as the first question, start from 2000 and so on. It's a global unicast address also, the choice B. And then FE80. So here we have the same prefix shown in the table, link local FE80. So automatically is the link local, the answer choice C. And then the last three, if you see, everything start with FF00, FF00 and FF02. So as I told you before in the table, anything start with FF00 is a multicast address. Multicast address is the choice of E. So the last three is E. E and E. Okay, that's all. And then let's jump into our step 2, practice compressing and decompressing IPv6 address. So before that, let's go to some of the notes I want to tell you. So for IPv6 format address, there would be 8 groups and each group which is 16 bits, and each group is expressed as 4 hexadecimal digits. So here you can see there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 groups here. So each of the group has 4 hexadecimal digits. Okay, so understand this first. The format of IPv6 address has 8 groups in them, and each one of group has 4 hexadecimal digits. Okay, let's jump into the exercise. So for the exercise, I would just copy the question back. So for this one, do we have 8 groups here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, we have 8 groups. So from 8 groups, we would want to compress it to lower type of group. So we would compress this. How do we compress this? For the first step is just remove the number 0 from the left side. For example, here 0EC0. Okay, we will just delete the 0 on the left side. Here 0200, delete the 0 on the left side. 0001, delete the zeros. Here 04EB, delete the zeros. 08A2, delete the zeros. Okay, this is not done yet. So as you can see here, there's a 40000. So for 0000, we need to delete all of them. So what would be remaining with? We would just remain with colon. Okay, just remain with colon. So when we see colon here, we would know there is a 0000 number there. Okay, let's jump into the second question. Second question is a bit different. So for this, the first step, as I told you before, just remove the zeros on the left. Okay, here also. Okay, that's all. Okay, okay. As you can see, there's three groups of 0000. So okay, as I teach you before, we have 8 groups in IPv6 address. Okay, so if I teach you like before, I will just delete all the 0000 and replace it with colon and also this as well. Okay, if I do this, when we decompress this IPv6 address, we don't know where is the double notation of 00, whether it's on the left side or on the right side. So for this step, what would we do is, for the right side, we will just remain 10 on the right side. Therefore, if they want to decompress this, they will just add 2 groups of 0000 on the left, and we just add 3 zeros on the right. Okay, we got this. Okay, let's jump into the third question. So the third question, as I told you before, there is an 8 groups of IPv6 address. Do we have 8 groups here? One, two, three, four, five. No. So where we don't have 8 groups, so this is already decompressed. So it's already compressed. We want to decompress it. So how would we decompress it? Okay, as you can see here, there's an colon here. So when we say colon, of course there is 0, 0, 0, 0 groups there. Okay, we in the question it's provided 5 groups here. So we just need 3 more groups of 0, 0, 0, 0. So I will write here 0, 0, 0, 0, and then 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and colon. So each group is separated by colons, yeah? Okay, so do we have 8 groups here? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Okay, and then it's done. Okay, let's jump to question D. So here we only have one group of IPv6 address. So this is decompressing activity. So how much we need for decompressing it to IPv6 address? We need 8 groups. We only have one, so we need seven more groups of 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, so wait, yeah. So for this we have ff00 colon 0000 colon 0000 colon 0000 colon 0000 colon until we get our 8 groups of IPv6 address. So let's count now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's all for the decompressing of question D. So let's jump on to the last question E. So do we have 8 groups? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we have 8 groups. Okay, this is the decompressing part uh, of the question. Okay, so what we have here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, sorry for just now. There is an error with the question. And then, as you can see here, what would we do is from here, the step 1 I teach you just now is just remove the zeros on the left. Okay, here. So that, and we only have one groups of 0, 0, 0, 0, and we would just delete it and we would just state it with colon. Okay, so that's all for the step 2 practice compressing and decompressing IPv6 address. So next one, part 2, examine a host IPv6 network interface and address. In part 2, you will check the IPv6 network settings of your PC to identify your network interface IPv6 address. So step 1, check your PC IPv6 network address settings. Verify that the IPv6 is installed and active on your PCA. Check your local area connection settings. So A, navigate to control panel. In the category view, click network and sharing center icon. Click view network status and task. In the network and sharing center window, you will see your active network. So we stop there and we jump into our control panel first. Okay, how to search? Just search control panel on your search bar. Open it. Okay, for you to see more clearer, I would just make it side to side. So we have control panel here and we have network and internet. So it says view network status and task here. Okay, click it. Okay, as you can see, it said you will see your active network. So for now, my active network is I'm using Wi-Fi, ILM student Wi-Fi. Okay, so on the left side of the window, click Change Adapter Settings. You should now see icons representing your installed network adapters. Right-click your active network interface. It may be an Ethernet or a Wi-Fi, and then click Properties. So for me, it's Wi-Fi. So in the properties window, scroll through the list of items to determine whether IPv6 is present, which indicate that it is installed, and if it also check marked, which indicate that it is active. So for this, we would just go here, the change adapter settings on the left side. So I can see my Wi-Fi is on here. Okay. Back to here. Okay. And then here, I would just right click it and go to properties. So as the select the item internet here F as select the item name internet protocol version 6 TCP IPv6 and click properties. You should see the IPv6 settings for your network interface. Your IPv6 properties window is likely set to obtain an IPv6 address automatically. This does not mean that IPv6 relies on the dynamic host configuration protocol DHCP. Instead of using DHCP, IPv6 looks to the local router for IPv6 network information and then auto-configures its own IPv6 address. To manually configure IPv6, you must provide the IPv6 address, the subnet prefix length, and the default gateway. Click cancel to exit the properties window. Okay, so back to here. I already clicked on my Wi-Fi properties. Okay, here, Wi-Fi properties. And then I will just go and search the IPv6. Here I already checked mark it. Okay, I already checked mark it. So when I click properties here, it already say as the instruction obtain an IPv6 address automatically. If I click use the following IP address, so I need to manually enter my IPv6 address, subnet prefix length, and also default gateway. So for this, I would just go to obtain IPv6 address automatically. Okay, and then just go back. Okay, that's all. For the G, after you have verified that IPv6 is installed and active on your PC, you should check your IPv6 address information. So open a command prompt and type ipconfig search all, press enter. Okay, so for this, I would just open my command prompt. Same, just search command prompt on your search bar on your PC. Okay, so I will make this on my right side. So I will just type ipconfig slash all. Okay, here as I'm using the IIUM student Wi-Fi, here it's stated iium.edu.my. So from here, I can see that stated here is my link local IPv6 address here. Okay, only one is shown here. So when we jump into our module here, you can see, okay, from the H, you can see from the output that the client PC has an IPv6 link local address with a randomly generated interface ID. What does it indicate about the network regarding IPv6 global unicast address, IPv6 unique local address, or IPv6 gateway address? So from here, there is only link local IPv6 address. There is no other IPv6 addresses. Same like me. So they are asking about global unicast, unique local address, and or IPv6. So what does it indicate here? Okay. So for this question, okay, it indicates that there is no IPv6 enabled gateway router providing global address, local address, or subnet information on the network. Okay. So then, what kind of IPv6 address did you find when using ipconfig all? So for me, on my right side, I only find link local IPv6 address. There is no other IPv6. So, so for this, likely to find link local addresses. Some of you might using internet of your own or hotspot from your phone. It might show different type of addresses on the command prompt, such as only IPv6 addresses. There is no written link local. There is only written IPv6 addresses. So that's a global unicast address. Yeah. Okay. For your information. Okay. Let's jump into our reflection questions. How do you think you must support IPv6 in the future? So for me, future devices should support IPv6 will eventually replace IPv4. So IPv6 also simplifies and speeds up data transmission. Furthermore, IPv6 was built with security in by default. IPv6 encrypts traffic and check packet integrity. Okay. So, second question, do you think IPv4 networks continue on or will everyone eventually switch over to IPv6? How long do you think it will take? So, for me, for my answer, the IPv6 adoption will continue while IPv4 network continues to support IPv4 user device. Okay, so it is still a long time before everyone switches over to IPv6 completely. So for now, everyone is using IPv4. They just can't leave the IPv4 completely, but eventually they will replace with IPv6. And then I think it will take a very long time before everyone switches to IPv6 completely. So for this last part, that's all for the lab I would like to present for you. So thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.